तुष्यते हरिः पद्भ्यां भगवतो यज्ञे शुश्रूषा धर्म सिद्धये तस्यां जातः पुरा शूद्रो यतवृत्त्या तुष्यते हरि. Please recite.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Padvayam bhagavato jagne shushusha dharma siddhaye tasyam jataha puro shudro yad bhaktaya tushyate hari. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
पद्भ्यां भगवतो जज्ञे शुश्रूषा धर्म सिद्धये तस्यां जात पुरो शूद्रो यद्वृत्त्या तुष्यते हरिः. हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
1 minute. Padvyam Bhagavato Jani Shusrusa Dharma Siddhaye Tasyam Jata Pura Sudro Yadvitya Tushyate Hari.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Padvyam Bhagavato Yajñe Shushrusa Dharma Siddhaye Tasyam Jata Pura Shudro Yadvritya Tushyate Hari. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Padham Bhagavato Jagge Shushrushya Dharma Siddhaye Tashyam Jagato Pura Sudra Yad Brito Tushyate Harihi. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else want to recite? Okay, so let us read word to word translation. Padbhyam, from the legs, Bhagavatah, of the personality of Godhead, Jagge, became manifested, Shushusha, service, Dharma, occupational duty, Siddhaye, for the matter of, Tashyam, in that, Jatah, Jatah, being kept, being generated, Pura, formally, Shudra, the servitors, yet Vritya, the occupation by which Tushyate becomes satisfied. Harihi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, service was manifested from the legs of Personality of Godhead for the sake of perfecting the religious functions. Situated on the legs are the Shudras, who satisfy the Lord by service. Service is purport. Service is the real constitutional occupation of all living entities. The living entities are meant to render service to the Lord, and they can attain religious perfection by this service attitude. One can attain religious perfection simply by speculating to attain theoretical knowledge. The Jnani division of the spiritualist go on speculating only to distinguish the soul from matter, but they have no information of activities of the soul after being liberated by knowledge. It is said that the persons who only mentally speculate to know things as they are and who do not engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are simply wasting their time. It is clearly said here that the principles of service was generated from the legs of the Lord for the sake of perfecting the religious process. But this transcendental service is different from the idea of service in the material world. In the material world, no one wants to be servant. Everyone wants to become a master, because false mastership is the basic disease of the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul in this material world wants to lord it over others. Illusioned by the external energy of the Lord, he is forced to become a servant of the material world. That is the real position of the conditioned souls. The last snare of the illusory energy, illusory external energy, is the conception of being one with the Lord. And due to this conception, the illusioned soul remains in the bondage of material energy, falsely thinking himself a liberated soul and as good as Narayan. Sorry. It is actually better to be Shudra than to be Brahmana and not develop the service attitude, because the attitude alone satisfies the Lord. Every living being, even if he is a Brahmana by qualification, must take to the transcendental service of the Lord. Both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam support that this service attitude is perfection of the living entities. A Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra can perfect his occupational duty only by rendering service unto the Lord. A Brahman is supposed to know this fact due to his perfection of Vedic wisdom. The other section are supposed to follow the direction of the Brahmana Vaishya. Who is the Brahmana Vaishnava? One who is Brahman by qualification and Vaishnava by action. That will make the entire society perfect in regards to the order of social construction. A disordered society cannot satisfy either the members of the society or the Lord, even if one is not perfect, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, but takes to the service of the Lord, not caring for the perfection of his social position, he becomes a perfect human being simply by developing attitude of service to the Supreme Lord. Om Agyantimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvai Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. So, it's a very nice shloka actually today. And what we are reading here is about the Varnashram system, how Krishna made this Varnashram system. So this Vedic society actually, if you read the Vedas, it is organized in a Varnashram structure. This is a kind of social structure actually, which is given in Bhagavad Gita and which we all read. We are reading for last 3 days, Chaturvarna Maya system, Guna, Karma, Vibhavasha. So according to Guna and Karma, this system was generated actually. So we can see that every individual, they are born with a kind of particular nature. Everybody has different natures according to their karma in the past lives and their activities and all other things, So that nature actually can be one of the things, like one can be intellectuals, like a Brahmana. One can be administrator or warrior, like Kshatriyas. One can be a businessman, does the Krashi, Goraksha, and one can be laborer. So these 4 divisions actually made by Krishna himself according to their guna and karma. So if we are properly situated actually, and in any particular varna out of Brahman, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, Shudra, then actually our ashram can make us rapidly progress in the Krishna consciousness. So that way we can progress in Krishna consciousness very rapidly, and there should be no problems. So in this chapter is chapter 6 is entitled Creation of the Universal Form. And that creation actually is very important because in this particular point, we are reading the development of planets. Few days ago, we read how the planets were developed, heavenly planets, earthly planets, the sky, everything we read about, and the living entities. And now we are reading about the varnas. So how the manifestation of varnas took place actually. So from the mouth, we read that from mouth of the Lord, mouth of the Virat Rup of the Lord, actually, the Brahmans were generated from the mouth of the Lord. And Brahmans actually they manifested as a Vedic wisdom. And we know that Vedic knowledge actually, which is given in the Vedas, it came out from the mouth of the Lord in the form of Shabda Brahma. So Prabhupada says that Lord actually in the beginning, he had only 4 shlokas. And then Brahmaji actually elaborated. Brahmaji was given the task of elaborating those 4 shlokas to the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, which Brahmaji did it through Vyasadeva. So, and then from his arms, the power of protection, the Kshatriyas were manifested, which protect our society and all the disturbances from the thieves and the miscreants. And from the thighs of Krishna, the Vaishyas were born. And these Vaishyas are the people actually, they are meant give all the livelihood for all persons. All the Brahmanas are supported by the Vaishyas, Kshatriya also, Shudra also. So they are the community which earn the money, livelihood for everybody they give. So they produce the grain, which is consumed by everybody, and they give Krashi, Goraksha. So for all the praja, all the people. And from the lakes, which is today's shloka, the service was manifested. And why service was manifested? Prabhupada is writing here, service for the sake of perfecting the dharma. Service is not for like just people service, but it should protect the dharma. Then it is the real service. And we have to satisfy the Lord by the service. So in the translation, Prabhupada is writing here, all these different next shloka. Therefore, service was manifested from the lakes of personality of Godhead. So service was actually came out or manifested from the personality of Godhead for the sake of perfecting the religious principles or religious functions situated on the lakes or the Shudras. So we know the Brahmanas, we say the head of the Virat Purush is the Brahmanas. That's why from the mouth all the wisdom came. And the arms, the Virat Purush's arm are the Kshatriyas. So Kshatriyas actually fight in the wars and they take the front position actually from protecting the society from external forces or the forces within the society like thieves and robbers and miscreants. So they protect us against them. And the thighs, Virat Purush thighs manifested in the form of Vaishya community, which do the Krasi and Goraksha and Vanijya. These 3 things are done by the Vaishya community. And from the legs of the Virat Rup came the Shudras. And Shudras do the service to satisfy the Lord. So that is very important. So Brahmana actually, which comes from the mouth of the Lord, they should not be the caste of Brahmana. The Brahmana, actually, Krishna is talking here about the division according to principles of Bhagavad Gita, Guna Karma Vivasha, which is not by the caste, because the caste wise, they cannot be appropriately, because sometimes a Shudra we have seen, like Haridas Thakur, he was from the Yavan community, but he has so much love for the Harinam. And that was that was his inclination towards Krishna. So a Shudra can be, a Brahman can be drunkard, and he may not behave like a Brahmans. So he should not be called a Brahman actually. He should be called Shudra because he's in Tamagun actually. So Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Jai Krishna Veta, Jai Krishna Tattva Veta, Sei Guru Hoy. So actually Guru or the Vaishnava who teaches the science of Krishna, he should be Krishna Veta. He should know about the science of Krishna. That's more important. Because sometimes these Brahmans, smart Brahmans, they may be very nicely recite, very expert in the mantras, see how they recite one word very clearly, but they do not know the science of what Krishna wants from them, because they do not have any service attitude. They will go out and smoke bidi after reciting all the shloka, so they do not have any principles in the life, so that's not actually needed. So that's why we read in Bhagavatam, Gurur na Shashat, Swajano na Shashat, Pita na Shashat, Janani na Shashat. So one should not become a guru or a brahmana who cannot deliver his dependent from this repeated cycle of birth and death. So that's very important. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nasi, Shudra Kena Nae, Yei Krishna Tattvaveta, Sei Guru Hai. So that is the actually Guru. And how the Kshatriyas actually work, Kshatriyas should protect the community. Because even in the car of police, we can see it's written to serve and to protect. So many townships and the communities actually on the police cars, it is written to serve and to protect. So that is the main aim of the Kshatriyas, to actually protect and serve them, rather than, being bothering the community with the different things. And the Vaishyas actually are the people who does the Krasi Go Raksha and Vanijam. So this is very important, because Vaishya actually supports all other three, their own community also, and other three, like Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, they all are given all the facility by the Vaishya. So Vaishya should actually do their business very properly, so they can support other communities. And today's shlok is about the service, which is done by the Shudras. And actually there is no Brahman, no Shudra, no, because they are not by the caste, it's their inclination. All devotees do the service, because like Prabhupada is writing in the purport that nobody wants to, in the Kali Yuga, nobody wants to be servant actually. They want to go at bigger and bigger position. So that's actually not needed. What is needed is the service attitude. That makes the proper sense. So Prabhupada is writing in the purport that service is the real constitutional occupation of all living entities. Without service, nobody can sit around. If they are not doing service of the Lord, then they will be serving the dog, G-O-D and D-O-G. So when somebody serves dog, we have seen, when we go out to walk in the morning or japa walk, what we see, people are going with they don't want to go out actually. They want to take the dog out. So dog can be healthy. And we all have seen the scene, how when dog goes for number one and number two, what happens? They take out their glove and how they clean it up and everything and put it in the pocket. So that's very disgusting actually, but that's why they want to serve a dog. And that's why Prabhupada says in his class that God next life, God gives them their body, because their mentality all the time goes about the dog, and while even dying, they think about the dog, so they will given next life of a dog. or cat or whatever they have, the pet animal, they get their body. So this is important to know that serving them is not good. Serve with the Lord and give the Lord's name to everybody. So good description of the perfect society or four classes varnas are given in Srimad Bhagavatam in the Canto 7 and chapter 11 is the title. In title is the perfect society. So in this one, Yudhishthira Maharaj starts asking Narada Muni, excuse me, because he wanted to hear about Sanatan Dharma and Varnashram Dharma. So then Narad Muni actually explains Yudhishthira Maharaj very nicely about the duties of what is the duty of Sanatan Dharma. So Sanatan Dharma is our eternal religion of the human being, which is actually Bhakti Yoga. And Varnashram Dharma is the social order or the spiritual duty of the humans. So we have to know about Sanatan Dharma also, and also Varnashram Dharma. So that way, and after that, actually, Narad Muni explains to Yudhishthira Maharaj about the 30 qualities by which we can satisfy the Supreme Lord, because satisfaction of the Supreme Lord is very important. Because that's why should be our aim, that how we can satisfy the Lord and how we can develop the Krishna Prem. So these 30 qualities are very important, but out of them, up to 21st qualities, they are common, they are not that important. The most important quality are the last 9, which is hearing about the Lord. So hearing about Lord is very important. And by hearing also, we can cleanse our heart. And then only Krishna, all the dirt for millions and millions of lifetime will be all gone just by hearing. Hearing so potent. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Tat Shrunu, in the 7th chapter, first shloka. So we have to hear, and not hear inattentively. We have to hear. When we chant also, we have to hear very nicely, because hearing is most important thing in our bhakti. Because if we keep hearing, then slowly everything, all the dirty feelings, dirty ideas, everything will go away, and slowly we will become a good bhakta, so we can attain the perfection in our bhakti. My grandmother used to say, "Kaan se milenge kana," and at that time I did not correlate, how the kana can be achieved by Kan, by our ear. So, but now when I'm hearing, then now I know how hearing can give us Krishna, because it will lead to Krishna. And hearing, second thing is chanting about him. Chanting the Krishna name is so potent. And if we keep chanting very seriously, then we can improve our bhakti so much, because many times we do not chant properly. We chant like 11th apradis, nam apradis, inattentive chanting. So if we are inattentive in chanting, then inattention. In chanting, we are not paying attention, so it's inattention. So inattention means in a tension. So we get into tension or anxiety, because after finishing our chant, we will think that, my God, I didn't chant it good today. I was not concentrating on my chanting. So that will give us the anxiety. And we should not have any kind of anxiety as a devotee, because devotees should not have any anxiety. They are under protection of Krishna. And we should have full faith in Krishna, that how Krishna can actually save us from all these anxieties and depressions and of this modern world, because in modern world there is so many problems. And next one is remembering Lord and his devotees. That's very important. If you remember the devotees, like in the beginning, Bhagavatam also is all descriptions about the pure devotees of the Lord. And then in the 10th chapter, there is all Krishna Leela. So we can see the devotees of the Lord are very important. So we should remember the activities of the Lord and his devotees. And next is the service. We should have attitude of service, serving Krishna any way we can, as much as we can. That's very important. And then worshiping Krishna. And then offer obeisances. And next one is servant, which is today's topic actually, that one has to be servant of Krishna. We should have service attitude, because if we don't have that attitude, we cannot perform bhakti properly. And then becoming a friend, we should be friendly to everybody. Doesn't matter somebody's criticizing us also, we should be friend, because we should think if somebody criticizes us, we should not feel any bad at all about that, because we should think that I must have done something in my past life, and that's why he's doing that. I'm getting it back. That way we should think, or if somebody is bothering us too much, then we should think that Krishna is minimizing my all the sufferings some way or other. And that's why it is important to think that way. And then last one is surrendering one's whole self. Srila Prabhupada all the time said that give this life to Krishna, because we had so many lives and enjoyed in all these lives. So if we give only this life to Krishna, we can definitely attain the perfection. So we should surrender. And actually, the pure bhaktas, actually, what happens? They actually cry for Krishna. And this cry should not come from our eyes. We should cry from our heart about Krishna in the proper serving attitude. So this cry actually make our heart, because in the heart, our the Paramatma is residing in the heart. And when Paramatma feels, because our our tears goes to it washes Krishna's feet and in the heart. And so that's why crying from heart is important, not superficial cry. Like sometimes we have seen in the movies, people go and see Krishna movie or Ramayana movie, then people started crying. But that crying is superficial crying, actually, and that crying is not important. We see in the movies also, people put some glycerin drops or tear drops in the eye, and we can see how they cry like that. But the crying from heart is very important, that we are so desperate to get Krishna, and that's why we are crying. So Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to say that Srila Prabhupada opened these temples, which are the school for learning how to cry. So these are the crying schools, actually. These ISKCON temples are crying schools. And if we cry properly from our heart, then Krishna will be pleased with us. So we know if our tears comes from eyes, that's not good. But if it comes from our heart, it is very good. We see Krishna is very, very merciful. We can see how Draupadi cried for Krishna when she lifted her arms and said, Govinda, Govinda, and Krishna came in the form of sari and protected her. So, and similarly, we can see how Gajendra, when we read the Gajendra Moksha, how Gajendra, when he gave up that I cannot find, and immediately he remembered that in the past life he was king, and how he was praying to the Lord. So he started praying to Lord Vishnu, and Lord came immediately. So, and protected him. Let me tell you how he came. In Gajendra Moksha, it is described that when Gajendra was crying for Krishna, when he offered the flower, he picked up the flower, lotus flower, from the pond, and where he was standing, and his leg was actually being beaten for 1,000 years. He was completely tired and exhausted. At that time, he was crying from his heart to Lord Krishna. And Krishna actually, Rukmini ji was serving him his lunch. And at that time, he heard the cry of Gajendra. So he immediately stopped eating. And he was thinking something. And not Draupadi, the Rukmini ji said, "What happened, Swami?" And he said that one of my devotees is calling me, he's crying for me. And then even Rukmini ji told, then you stop eating, you go and help him right now. So we can imagine how Rukmini ji was soft-hearted also. And Krishna immediately left. But then Krishna saw that his Vahan, Garud was his vehicle actually, like we keep the car parked in our garage. Similarly, Garudji was living around. So Vishnu went to Garudji, actually looking for him. And Garudji has some health issue, so he was still sleeping. So Krishna was so merciful, he was in so much rush for the cry of his devotee that he lifted Garudji by one hand, by his right hand. He put it in his shoulder and holding it with his arm. Garudji was still in sleeping mood. He was still in deep sleep. He was sleeping. And then Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, start running very fast by the speed of the current, like electric current. In 1 second, it can reach very far, like that. And running like that, Krishna Bhagwan's pitambar actually got loose in the back. So like it was going to come out. So by right hand, he was holding Garud, and by left hand, he was catching his pitambar so it doesn't fall. And he was running like that. And in the way, what happened? The Garudji's sleep was broken. And then he saw what is going on. He saw, my Lord is holding me, lifting me rather than I lift. He was very ashamed. And he says, please excuse me, my Lord. Give me a chance now. You sit down. I can go. You sit down on my back. So he started flying and Lord was sitting on his back. And then he was running, but he just came out of the sleep. When we come out of the sleep, what happens? Our activities are actually slow. So he was going very slow, not very fast, as Lord wants. So Lord actually came out and he started running himself and going with much greater speed. And then he went and he reached so fast, nobody can even imagine. And then he came and he rescued Gajendra. So we can see how Lord is merciful, what he does for his devotees. So we have to realize his mercy and we should dedicate our life as much as possible, as much as we can, not possible, as we can, maximize that. And that will actually make us real happy in this material life. And this happiness will be permanent happiness. And then we can serve Krishna forever. So service is the real constitutional occupation of all living entities. The living entities are meant to render service to the Lord, and they can attain religious perfection by this service attitude only. So service attitude is so important. One cannot attain religious perfection simply by speculating to attain the theoretical knowledge. Theoretical knowledge is no good. Many jnanis have theoretical knowledge, but they all the time think about the Saviji Mukti, that I merge in the Lord. So what happens in the effulgence of the Lord? So what is the sense? They get very bored because they do not have any service attitude and they are not rendering any service there in the in the effulgence of the Lord. So then they get bored and then they have to come back here to this Mritilok again. So Jnani's division of specialists to go on speculating only to distinguish between soul and matter. They just keep thinking about this theoretical knowledge actually, but they don't perform any service to the Lord. But they have no information of activity. What is the activity of soul? After being liberated by knowledge, they do not know about what happens to the soul after the soul gets liberated. They do not have any, they do not know what activity they can do. It is said that the person who only mentally speculate to know the things as they are and who do not engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are simply wasting their time. If we know theoretically that we should do this, but not practically perform it, then what is the sense? Actually, we are wasting our time, definitely. So we should not waste our time because this human life is so rare. And after so many millions and millions of birth, we luckily got this human birth. And so we should take use of it. Whatever age we are, we have to dedicate our life, rest of the remaining years, to the service of Krishna. And very seriously, we have to perform bhakti. Like we read in the Kapil and Dehuti Samvad, in the same chapter we are reading, same canto we are reading, we will read it after few chapters, that how Dehuti, who was mother of Kapil Dev, who was listening from Kapil Dev because he was the incarnation of the Godhead. So she was listening from him. The son was her guru, and she was listening, and he was telling, how one can perfect his life. And he told all this knowledge to his mother. So it is clearly said here that principle of service was generated from the legs of the Lord. From the leg of the Lord, this service attitude, the Shudras came actually. We can be in any, because all the divisions of society, it's not Shudras should be actually rejected, or Shudras does perform service for all other three Varnas. So they should be respected properly actually. But this service should be done for, like Prabhupada is writing, for the sake of perfecting the religious process. So if we are doing by service and perfect our religious process, that's a good. Otherwise, but the transcendental service is different from the idea of service in the material world, because the service word in the material life, materially we see service means, cleaning, this, all the like low kind of job. But if we do service for Krishna, for perfecting our religious principles, or religious process, that's the best service actually. So we should not think the service means a material service, what is considered in material world. Because as Prabhupada is writing, material world, no one wants to be servant, everybody wants to become the master. So everybody wants to be a master, not a servant. The conditioned soul in the material world wants to lord it over others. This is the tendency of everybody, that lord it over to other. How I can take his position. So the conditioned soul in the material world wants to lord it over others. Illusioned by the external energy of the Lord, he is forced to become servant of the. But anyway, he becomes servant. If we don't become servant of the dog, then we become servant of our wife. We will become servant of our society, servant of our parents, children, servant of the community, servant of the country. So there are so many things we can be servant. But unless we took the shelter, we serve the Lord, our life is not perfect. That is the real position of the conditioned soul. The last snare of the external energy is the consciousness of becoming one with the Lord. How one can be, people think, that Aham Brahmasmi, that I can become one with the Lord. So we are part and parcel of Krishna, but we are not Brahma, which Mayavadi says that I am the God, you are God, and everyone else is the God. So that should not be the principle, because that's actually biggest Maya in this material world. And due to this conception, the illusion soul remains bondage of material energy, falsely thinking himself a liberated soul as good as Narayan. So people think, that's why they say Narayan, Narayan. You can see how the Mayavadis pronounce each other, that you are Narayan, I am Narayan. So it is actually better to be a Shudra than to be a Brahman, not develop the service attitude. So it is better to be Shudra and perform our having proper service attitude rather than becoming Brahmana and not have the service attitude. We should have service attitude all the time. Doesn't matter whether we are Brahman or Kshatriya or Vaishya or Shudra. Service attitude is the must. Because this attitude alone satisfies the Lord. The Lord gets happy with service attitude. If we don't have that attitude, Lord will never be happy with us. Every living being, even if he is Brahmana by qualification, must make to the transcendental service of the Lord. Even one is Brahmana, he has to perform service, also transcendental service to the Lord. And this is taught by both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. They both support the service attitude of perfection for the living entities. A Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra can perfect his occupational duty only by rendering service unto the Lord. So when we render our service to the Lord, then Lord becomes happy with us. The other sections are supposed to follow the direction of the Brahmana. See, all 4 sections out of 4, Brahmana should actually give the direction to all remaining 3, Kshatriyas, Vaishya, and Shudra. And they all 3 should live under the direction of the Brahmanas. Like before in the olden age, what happened? The kings were like Brahmanas mostly, they were known as Rajarshis. And so those Rajarshis actually were perfect persons, and they were also doing, even though they were Kshatriya kings, but they were actually taking the direction from all the rishis, saintly people, and then running there. And it was running so smoothly. We can see the example of Yudhishthir Maharaj and all the other kings, Bharat Maharaj. So we can see how they ruled the kingdom, being this kind of tendency to serve the people. Srila Prabhupada actually wrote later to President of India also, but he never answered, that how people can serve and how the community can be divided in the 4 divisions. Srila Prabhupada actually wanted this Varnashram system in our ISKCON. And he, in his last day, he had showed desire that he will come to Gita Nagari and establish Varnashram system. But somehow or the other, he got sick in Mumbai. He was taken to Vrindavan from there. In Vrindavan, he was not doing very good, but one time he got little strength, and then he came to Vrindavan, and then he went to London to come to US actually in Gitanagari for this purpose. When he was in London, his condition got worse, and then he actually told his disciple that please take me back to the Vrindavan because I want to leave my body in Vrindavan. So that's why he could not come. Otherwise, all the preparation in Gitanagari was done for Srila Prabhupada, that he is coming, and his room and everything was being prepared, that where he will stay, and all the devotees started coming to Vrindavan to get association of Srila Prabhupada. But somehow or the other, it was not took place, it didn't took place. So other sections should follow the instruction directions from the Brahmanas. Otherwise, this whole society will get disorganized, and this disorder society cannot satisfy either their member or their society or the Lord. Nobody will be satisfied with disorder society like that. The people nowadays, we see how disorderly whole thing is. Whole society is like, it's crazy how the division. If we follow the proper Varnashram system, then everything will be actually very good, and Lord will be happy. Then we can have rain on time, we can have enough grains to eat, because Lord has given so much. But what happens? All the grains are there, but most of the grains and most of the money are with very 1% of people only, and rest they are all serving them. So this is disordered society. So if people follow the Varnashram system and take what they need, that way, what will happen? Everybody will be happy, and Krishna will be happy too. But this is not happening. Because this is greed of certain people, and that's why this all we are seeing here, and everybody is in limbo actually. He becomes perfect human being simply by developing the attitude of service to the Supreme Lord. If we have attitude of serving to the Lord, then then Krishna will be very happy, and we all can be happy. When Krishna is happy, everyone is just tushtam, jagat tushtam. If Krishna is happy, whole jagat will be tushta. We can read the shloka in Brahma Samhita. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadeva hadesha vilochayanti yam shama sundaramati kintu guna swarupam govindam adi purusham samaham bhajami. So we should have the tears, premanjana, the anjan, I should have praying of Krishna. So when we have that kind of love to Krishna, then we can see how the things we can progress in the spiritual life. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can see he has given one sentence actually which shows whole Krishna philosophy. He has given us, of course, 8 verses of the Shikshashtakam, but he said, Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Karo Krishna Shiksha. So this is the whole philosophy of Krishna conscious movement. And Prabhupada told us many, many times how only this one sentence can show the whole philosophy of Krishna conscious movement. Bolo Krishna means chant Krishna, always chant Krishna's name. And Bhajo Krishna means worship Krishna by different ways. And then Karo Krishna Shiksha. How we can do the Shiksha of Krishna? We should read ourselves Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and teach to others about this Shiksha. So Patana. So all the 6 duties are done properly by this, only by this sentence. And for this, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually wrote so much about Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Karo Krishna Shiksha. Many articles about this Bhakti, and he liked this shloka so much because this gives the saransh, whole principle, sar of our philosophy. And we should perform these things with the attitude of humility. Tranadapi suni chaina taroreva savishnam amani namani dena kirtaniya sadahari. If we remember these 2 shloka and follow, then we can get lot of benefit. Because if we don't do this, we are not going to take anything from this material world. Whatever we earn, whatever we may have beautiful wife at home, or we may have big house, big cars, they all are going to remain here only. Nothing is going to go with us except our bhakti, our love for Krishna. And it is very important for all of us to develop that love. And that's why we should have this service attitude which is described in today's shloka. So today is Nityananda Prabhu's Parents' Day. So very auspicious day. And we all should pray to the Nityananda Prabhu to give us shelter in his lotus feet and give us bhakti. So because he is the original person who started movement of preaching. Actually, before that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually was doing kirtan in the Srivas Angan. It was not spread outside at all. Just, and that too also with only his intimate disciples. He was not allowing anybody in that, in Srivas house to come and participate in the kirtan. He was doing kirtan. But then he told Haridas Thakur and Nityananda Prabhu to go out and preach. Jare dekha tare kaha Krishna Upadesh. So Nityananda Prabhu actually went out with Haridas Thakur and started preaching. And they thought that Jagai Magai will be the proper candidate for the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Nityananda Prabhu had so much courage because nobody was going to those 2 drunkards, because there was not a single sin which they never committed. All the sins they have committed many times. So they were so papi souls. And they went and they requested them to chant Krishna's name. And they got so mad and they throw the earthen pot, the rim of the earthen pot, on Nityananda Prabhu's head, and bleeding started. And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew about it, he rushed and he wanted to kill Jagai Magai. But Nityananda Prabhu's compassion, we see what he said, that Mahaprabhu, please spare them, don't kill. Because in the Kali Yuga, everybody is sinner. You have to kill everybody. But you came to this form as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Golok Vrindavan to deliver us, rather than killing them. So Krishna's Chaitanya avatar was for actually delivering everyone, giving them Krishna prem, and that too free of charge. So that was the aim. And Nityananda Prabhu actually, although he was older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he became sannyasi much before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but we can see how he had the service attitude. And he wanted to serve Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, rather than become his older brother. And he was serving. Similarly, we know Advaitacharya Prabhu, whose appearance day just went few days ago. So he also wanted to serve rather than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu respect him, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was god brother of his guru, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's guru. So he was thinking Advaitacharya is his guru, but Advaitacharya wanted to serve him. So Advaitacharya actually one day he sat down and he started giving class on Mayavad, that we all are one, and you are Brahma, you are Lord, and you are Narayan, I am Narayan, like that, and Lord has no body, he's imperson, like that philosophy. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard, he became so angry. He came and he pulled his hair and he dragged from the Vyasasan and he started kicking him, one kick after other. So he kicked him. And ultimately, he was smiling. Advaitacharya was smiling and laughing that now I got Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now I got your mercy. Now you have taken me as your servant, because only the Lord can punish the servant. So he was so happy, and from that day, he started serving Lord, and Lord used to accept his services like that. So the Nityanand Prabhu started preaching when he was 33, 34 years old, and he preached all around Bengal and Odisha. He was going here and there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually wanted that devotees should get made in the Krishna prem. That was the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that everybody should become completely made after Krishna. So that is and Nityananda Prabhu actually taught everyone that everybody should not waste single second thinking about here and there, because if you keep thinking about different things, what happens? Mind is the devil's workshop. So our mind will become devil actually, and we start filling up, even though as a devotee, we start filling up our senses that way, So we should be that busy. Our schedule we should make so tight that there is no free time at all to think about all these things, which are not important in our life. So if we do that way, then actually we can see that how our time goes in Krishna's service rather than thinking about different things. And so we should actually keep hearing Krishna Katha, Krishna Kirtan, and then we will not have any time. And wherever the most thing, we perform a lot of bhakti. Many people read many things. We all listen Krishna Katha all the time. Every morning we are hearing Krishna Katha. But what happens? We do Vaishnava Ninda. And Vaishnava Ninda actually takes away all our good services, Krishna conscious services. It takes away completely, and we are again at zero. So that's what happens. So wherever Krishna, people are not criticizing the other devotees, Vaishnava Ninda is not taking place at any place. That place, Krishna resides only, Krishna will not reside at the place where Krishna Vaishnava Ninda is going on. So stay away from those places, or even if we hear if some devotees are doing criticizing any Vaishnava, because every one of us has faults. There's no doubt about that. But not doing Ninda, not doing any offenses towards them, rather than seeing the good part that this person is getting up in the morning, how nicely he chants, how nicely he reads. So that will actually help us, rather than criticizing all the time that this guy doing this guy doing this, it takes away all our bhakti. And we are at the same place. That's why most of us, especially me, I am still in the Anartha Nivratti stage, not developing any love for Krishna. And what is the reason? The reason is the Vaishnava Ninda, that with doing Vaishnava Ninda, we do not improve. So we have to start that thing. That's like a hole in the earthen pot, where we fill the water. So if there is a hole in the earthen pot, you can keep pouring water, it will not fill up. Why? Because there is a hole. So similarly, there is a hole in our bhakti. By doing Vaishnava Ninda, we are creating a hole in our bhakti, and all our bhakti drains out that way. So the best thing is just see the good part in the devotees and see how the Lord is helping us. Then only we will know. Otherwise, if we criticize people, we will never know how Krishna is merciful, how he is giving us all this facility to remember him. And all these chances, we are so lucky to be in Krishna consciousness movement. Because how many people are there? 0.00001% hardly, which are following some principles, and Prabhupada is so merciful to all of us. So we should be so thankful to Srila Prabhupada, especially on this perfect day of Nityanand Prabhu's appearance day. And we should all the time glorify Nimai and Nitai for their contributions in spreading the Krishna consciousness movement. And thank you very much. There are only 2 minutes left, so I will open for any comments or any questions. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Nityananda Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Where is it from? That sloka, Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, that sloka. That
We have heard so many times. I do not know. I can tell you later on. I do not know exactly where it is taken from. But if you write down, type the shloka and it will come up where it is from.
Okay.
Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Karo Krishna.
Yeah.
You'll find it in the song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Yeah.
But also said that I don't know if it's actually there in the pastime of Jagai Madai. I know in the drama we would say it,
Okay, I'll find.
And Lord Nityananda, he would go. That's what he would instruct people to do. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mata. Any other person has any comments?
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the class.
Yeah, thank you, Kaivalya Prabhu.
Thank you,
It
Prabhu.
was very, very nice. Just wanted to remind everybody today that we have the festival at the temple will begin at 6:00 p.m. and go till about 8:30. We'll have kirtan, abhishek, class, some other Archana Bhakti. She gave a class yesterday, part 1, so she'll give part 2 today. Yesterday she spoke about the childhood pastimes of Lord Nityananda, as well as his tattva
Pastimes.
as Balaram. Yes, today she said she'll speak about Lord Nityananda and how he distributes his mercy, how he distributes Krishna's mercy. So please, it should be a wonderful festival. We look forward to seeing everybody this evening. Shri Nityananda Rama ki
Jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo namo namaha.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was very wonderful class.
Thank you,
Hare
Mata.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.